Hello everybody, I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to Gwen's Bookish Ramblings, and today I am going to try not to scream because this there was a thing and I thought the video went through and it didn't, and then it wasn't uploading, so I stopped, and now apparently everything is wrong. Okay, so you don't care. So Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs is a time capsule for people who aren't baby boomers and who aren't the children of baby boomers. I happen to be a children of baby boomers. And so I don't know all of these songs because I wasn't a teenager during the 60s, but I know a lot of them because I heard a lot of them growing up. Or part of them. I don't think I've ever heard Teen Angel all the way through, mainly because I have repeatedly dived at radios and stabbed the off button to make it go away because it's just that awful. So, Dave Barry wrote this book in response to the Bad Song Survey, which I actually talked about in a previous video, because in that previous video, I was talking about one of his collections of articles because, you know, he was a newspaper humor writer for years and years and years. And so this book is an exemplar of one of the books that he got out of one of his articles. You know, as I've said before, some of his books are now just regular old novels. Some of his books are books that are collections of his articles, and some of his books are books that you can trace the genesis of the book back to one specific column. In this case, it was the Bad Song Survey. And so, at the start of this book, after the introduction where he talks about how something that we've all experienced, that everyone's brain always places the greatest priority on remembering things like like jingles for products that no longer exist to the best of your knowledge, or even jingles for products that still exist but haven't used that jingle for like 20 years. Those things always get a very, very high priority in the brain, whereas something useful like all 83,000 PIN numbers you need to get through your daily life just, you know, aren't there, because heavens forfend I should be able to remember my PIN number to get onto Workopolis to apply for jobs, or to remember the PIN number so I can get onto my library account or access my bank or any of that other stuff. You know, useful things. And bad songs, or at least songs that you really don't like, do tend to fall into that category, of, oh, that's great, that's really helpful for me to remember this song that I hate, and not even the whole song, but just the chorus, which I hate more than the rest of the song, instead of whatever it is I'm trying to remember. You know, like how to pass my grade 12 math test. I think we've all been there, one way or another. But in this book, he talks at the start a lot about, or rather significantly, about the question of why people care about this so much. Because the Bad Song Survey happened in 1992, and this book was published in 1997, and it's literally years later, and people were still grabbing him on the street, whether literally or metaphorically, and telling him about songs that they hated. And he asks the question, why is this so important? And he talks about something that, and it's one of those times that I once again bring up Dave Barry's literary gifts. He's not a writer of beautiful prose. If he wanted to be, he could write beautiful poetic prose. He would never be Shakespeare, but then who would be? Except maybe Tom Stoppard. But what Dave Barry does do, as I've said before, is His writing is phenomenally honest. It catches the essence of how you feel in particular moments, how a person feels in particular moments. He catches hold of that and really, really brings it out, while at the same time it's in plain language. It's not in beautiful words, it's in effective words. And he talks about the question of why people feel so passionate about this subject, because music is personal. The songs we hear a lot, particularly the ones we hear when we're young, soak into our psyche, so that forever after, when we hear certain songs, we experience sudden and uncontrollable memory spasms that take us back to specific times, some good, some bad, in our lives. And he talks about how when he hears a Beach Boys car song, that it catapults him back to the summers of 1962 through 1965. About how they will just drop him straight into those memories of his youth, of his teen years, and just bring it all flooding back. And music does that. Music is very, very powerful that way, because music is one of those things that is fundamentally designed to evoke an emotional response. You can talk about the intellectual complexities of Leonard Cohen's lyrics or Dylan's lyrics. You can talk about the humor that's inherent in a Bare Naked Ladies song. You can talk about the uplifting words of Imagine, if you don't find that song just incredibly tiresome. But what makes a song more than just its words is that combination of lyrics and music. And music is a fundamentally abstract, fundamentally emotive medium. Again, you can bury it in intellectual things, and I'm not going to say that 12-tone music is anything but an incredible intellectual exercise. But it is also a fundamentally abstract, emotive experience dealing in music. And so songs that cause a negative reaction in us, whether they are songs with bad lyrics or bad tunes or bad performances, or all three, Teen Angel, I'm looking at you, they cause a very, very deep emotional, personal reaction. And so he captures sometimes a lot of that. As I said the last time I talked about him, he tends to be able to capture that, but he's really, really funny in doing it. And so this book, I started off by saying it's a time capsule, and in a way it is, because these are songs in this book that are of Dave Barry's youth. They're of Dave Barry's time. They're songs that people who aren't either baby boomers or the children of baby boomers, if you're not either of those things, you're not going to recognize these. And so when you read this book, if as I said, if you're a baby boomer or the child of a baby boomer, for you this book will be a walk down memory lane. It'll remind you of being in the car with your parents, listening to this stuff and going, oh my God, Mom, can we put on something that's, like, good? And if you're a baby boomer, it'll remind you of your teen years and going, oh my God, Lisa, can we please listen to something other than this horrible, horrible thing? I am so tired of the B-side of this particular single. Can we just stop listening to Leader of the Pack? One more, if I hear that motorcycle crash one more time, I'm gonna scream. So, you know, it brings back memories for those of us who have them. But for those of us who don't, YouTube will be a gift for you because you'll be able to look up all of these songs and go, oh my God, that is awful. Oh my God, really? But at the same time, it's easy enough to read these lyrics and go, oh yeah, that is awful. Such as when you read the lyrics in from the section of Songs Women Hate, which is a collection of songs with themes that a lot of women tend to look at askance, such as the amazing He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss, recorded by the Crystals, which features the lyrics, and when I told him I had been untrue, he hit me and it felt like a kiss. He hit me and I knew he loved me. If he didn't care for me, I could never have made him mad, but he hit me and I was glad. Well, there's a lyric for you. So you have this book of these, and it's funny. He knows how to pick the right excerpts from readers who sent him letters. He knows how to pick the right words to make you laugh when he talks about these songs. He knows which lyrics to pick and which lyrics to adjust just a little bit or to make a parody of for the sake of humor. This isn't a long book. This is maybe not a pocket book, although I suppose if there's a paperback version of it, it probably is. But it's a good small book. It's a book you can stick into a bag and carry with you and read in odd moments without worrying about losing your place. Or it's a book that if you have an hour or two to kill, you can sit down and just read it in one sitting. And it's good for that. And it's funny, because Dave Barry is really funny, if you like that sort of thing. I mean, if you don't, then you don't, and if you've read anything by Dave Barry and you didn't like it, then putting aside Dave Barry Turns 50, which is frankly a big ball of schmaltz and depression, rather than being funny, and I did read that, and it wasn't funny, but nearly everything else he's written is funny. And that's what he's good for. And he's a humor writer. And there's, in a lot of ways, there's not a lot to say unless I wax intellectual or rhapsodic or something on the topic of music and songs and why music is personal, but I think I've already covered that. So I think that this is an interesting book. It's a funny book, it's a good book, but it's also interesting because, like I said, it's of its time and of its moment and of the moment of its author. And so while there's a lot in here that's universal, there's a lot in here that maybe if you're interested in what the baby boomer psyche is like, maybe it's worth reading for that too, because it's funny, but it also speaks with someone who on some level really was the voice, who was a voice of that generation. Better than, to quote him, a whiny little puke like Sonny Bono. So, I think that's all, and this is shorter than version 1.0, so we will wrap up version 1.1, 1.2, the second version of this particular video, and I will see you all next week.